you just see scenarios where the app's being used like 10% of what they scaled it for.
Mm.
And this is my thing, when you're doing, like, you guys as a consultancy working with Azure,
Mm.
if your customer spends 100 grand a month on Azure, but say 25% of that's inefficient, that's 25 grand a month they could be spending building new integrations, because that money can be reallocated to other stuff.
Mm.
And there is a big challenge also on, like, you need to tell if something that already costs this $100 a month, or as you said, this customer, they didn't really request a change, you didn't request a new integration, you can see that this costs a lot, you need to rebuild this to make it cost, and then you end up with a conversation, why do you want me to rebuild this? Why should I pay you to do something that's actually working? And you need to actually bring up the cost card, because this is actually, why do you want to do that? It's just to reduce the cost.
Yeah, and I guess that, I mean, we all three here agree. But Mike, you've been in the integration business for so long, and now you're working with the cost. And I mean, all of the first session you had was regarding cost. But how would you say, like, the typical integration technician, engineer, or architect, what what would your advice be for them to actually get involved in the cost discussions, get involved with using a proper tool like Covise tool to actually get on top of costs? What would you say to them?
I think you've just got to do it regularly, but the most common thing I see is people review costs when senior management complain about the size of the bill. If you can look at costs, and they also look at it at such a high level, we look at our overall Azure cost, and if you say we spend 100,000 a month on Azure, but that doesn't really mean anything, because you've probably got so many teams and so many applications that it's just a number, and you need to sort of break it up and start getting teams to look at this idea of how much are we spending. And actually, Ahmed and I have talked a lot about this idea of cost as part of a sprint retrospective. So how many times do your team get the end of the sprint and go, right, here's our current running costs for dev and test, maybe even prod as well if you've already got stuff in prod, and can we take any items into the next sprint to optimize our costs